Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Valeria and this is the Off-Road Ranch. A long time ago, almost 6 months ago, the construction of the box of my house was completed. It was built for the development of the Off-Road Ranch project I talked about in my very first videos and of course for my survival and living. All this time flew by for me in an instant. Under normal conditions, in 6 months I could have completely furnished the house, bought appliances and furniture, built a septic tank and organized the water supply to the house. But I have a lot of debt. I built the house practically in debt, only thanks to donation from my subscriber and the money lent by him. So I worked a lot and sometimes didn't even have time to eat, let alone prepare a video for YouTube every Thursday. But I will talk in more detail about my finances in the following videos. My main task after building the box of the house was to install electrical equipment and connect centralized electricity. It was also important to maintain a positive temperature in the house above 10 degrees Celsius with minimal humidity, so that the process of rotting and spread of fungi and mold didn't begin in the house. I don't have a video of how I slept in winter overalls and was constantly cold. The temperature in the house during the day reached 12 degrees Celsius or 54 Fahrenheit, and at night it usually dropped to 10 degrees Celsius or 50 Fahrenheit, and in severe frost and winds it could drop up to 5 degrees Celsius, 41 Fahrenheit. The generator worked for 14 hours every day, but 2 heat guns, 2 kilowatts each, couldn't fully heat the house, and January and February turned out to be very snowy and cold. Sometimes the temperature with the north wind reached minus 35 degrees Celsius or minus 31 Fahrenheit. The large load was critical for the generator, but it performed great during all the entire operation, especially considering that it started and worked at minus 20 degrees Celsius or minus 4 Fahrenheit. My nutrition during this time has deteriorated greatly because it is impossible to cook over a fire in severe sub-zero temperatures during snowfall or in snow up to 2 meters height. Now, when I remember this winter, I wonder how I survived at all. The only advantage at those times was sunny days. The house was warmed up by several degrees through large windows and the humidity also dropped. But let's return to the electrical connection. For internal installation, without any options, I hired licensed specialists as the only way to put the house into operation. But there is also external electrical work and simple work that I did by myself, while electricians were working inside the house. It significantly reduced the work time. The trailer again played an important role in getting materials to the off-road range. The seller's forklift handled the loading of the bricks, but upon arriving home at night, I unloaded 800 kilograms of bricks onto pallets without anyone's help. And it was very strange for me, but in the morning I didn't even get sick, and my back didn't even hurt, although it was minus 18 Celsius outside, or 0 Fahrenheit, and I myself was knee-deep in the snow until I cleared away. I was all sweaty and constantly stopped in the process of unloading to take breaths. Only after a few days, so that the muscles recovered and I didn't get injured, I moved the bricks closer to the house itself, directly to the place where the cable was laid. According to construction standards, the cable from the pole to the house must lie underground. It must lie on compacted sand, be covered with sand, tamped down again, covered with bricks and marked with warning tape. Therefore, my individual tasks of extreme difficulty were digging a trench in frozen sandy soil with rock chips to a depth of 1 meter with a total length of 13 meters and a volume of more than 7.5 cubic meters due to uneven terrain after construction work. Creation of a protective barrier to prevent the broad sand from crumbling from heavy, wet, frozen soil equal in volume to that removed from the trench. Backfilling of frozen and heavy wet sand in accordance with cable laying standards. And also layer by layer heating of the sand and its stamping down. Laying the cable, backfilling it with sand and tamping it down again. Laying a protective layer of brick and placing a warning tape above it, each at its own individual horizontal level. And again, filling it with sand. Digging a trench from a pole to the wall of the house and filling it with sand was a difficult task, and it took about 12 days. But digging a trench and filling it with sand under the house took 2 months, taking into account the snowy and frosty weather. First, I warmed the ground with a heat gun, making a kind of greenhouse, since it was a whole ice block, not soft dry soil. The distance between the current ground level and the frame of the house ranged from 70 to 90 centimeters. It is very difficult to dig while bending over, kneeling or squatting. It is extremely difficult to bring in or take out buckets of sand or soil weighing more than 15 kilograms. Every time I have to climb in and out under the house. In total, I brought 4 cubic meters of sand under the house. This is about 700 buckets of sand, or about 8 tons. And this is just a small price for building your own house. The depth is 55 centimeters and I need around from 15 to 25 centimeters of sand, and then I need a cable, and then again 15-25 centimeters of sand, and then a layer of brick. Here I have almost 30 centimeters. Here we have 30 centimeters. Here we have 20 centimeters. The bricks were laid after tamping down and leveling the sand exactly according to the laser level, but not at random. The work also took place at night, because during day there wasn't always the opportunity and time. It often snowed or rained, so I had to work not when I wanted or when it was convenient for me, but when it was possible due to weather conditions. So I had to do it regardless of personal circumstances. But at night the laser was visible even better, and my Romas battery helped illuminate the trench. And in general, when you work, you don't notice the cold, hunger, or day of time. Also, the work was interrupted for 2 weeks due to the fact that electricians couldn't get to me even on snowmobiles. But anyway, internal works came out much faster than outside work. I like when people are interested in doing their work efficiently and quickly. At the time of editing this video, I already have electricity. Now I am incredibly glad that I can be warm and not constantly freeze, that I have a stove I can cook on and there is light in any room. It seems that these are such usual, simple and familiar things to everyone that we don't even notice this comfort, but how hard it is to live without them. I was looking forward to this day more than the completion of the construction of the house frame and box itself. But due to the fact that now it is not winter but summer, an urgent question arose with installing an air conditioner, since due to the intensity of the summer sun, sometimes even with a large window curtained outside and the ventilation turned on, the temperature inside rises to 45 degrees Celsius or 113 Fahrenheit, and sometimes even higher. In next videos, I'd like to talk about my future plans and discuss them with you. Also, in the next months, I would really like to deal with the painting of the house inside and organizing of at least technical water at the off-road range. To do this, I will have to carry out cleaning of the well on site and its improvement, which in itself is not a simple or safe task. Oh. In the place where the cables entered the house, it was necessary to lay brick around the cables in a circle to ensure safety and continuity on all sides. And at the very end, I had to fill the brick with sand again. In next videos, I'd like to talk about my future plans and discuss them with you. Also, in the next months, I would really like to deal with the painting of the house inside and organizing of at least technical water at the off-road range. To do this, I will have to carry out cleaning of the well on site and its improvement, which in itself is not a simple or safe task. And of course, I'd like to show you my new leased plot of. While I was working outside, the electricians were installing lines inside the house. When it was possible, I was also engaged into internal work, and it took a little more than 2 weeks for the 2 electricians and me, a total of 2.5 people, to install all the sockets, switches, stove, boiler and heated floor. For now, instead of high-quality permanent lamps, in half the house I have ordinary light bulbs, because I don't yet know what style the interior of the house will be. Also, during the electrical wiring process, it turned out that it was necessary to strengthen the wall the boiler would hang on and secure metal studs from the inside the wall. I'd like to show you my new leased plot of land, tell you about the plans and show the necessary work that I've been already trying to do for several months with minimal investment, although it is still quite large. I hope to see your likes and comments under my future videos. It was Valeria, the Off-Road Range. I wish you all the best and see you soon.